Welcome to the Inside Scoop, a podcast about self improvement and knowledge seeking. Our aim is to explore a diverse range of topics and perform self checks on whether we're being the best versions of ourselves every week. I'm your host, Mario Cerbalis. This is episode 32. I'm here joined by my co host, Oscar. Hi there.
Hey there.
And let's get started. So, I thought we were going to talk today about what was it? Could you introduce the topic?
Diversifying your commitments or time commitments and why it might be a good idea.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this is. I mean, I guess I want to ask you what you think. What I mean by that first.
Yeah, because
It's
I
always a
was
good way to start.
exactly that when you said this, I was thinking, right. So in my mind, commitments are something that you do perform, like your hobbies or the activities that you choose. The way that you introduced it by saying time commitments, I really haven't thought about it this way. So presenting my, clean opinion without being introduced the new uh, definition. I think, yeah, I thought that this is more of like, I don't know, your hobbies. So it's like whatever you're doing in life, do more of it. I mean, this is the way I heard it, like
As in,
diversifying commitments, I
do
guess.
more different things rather than just do more of whatever you're doing.
Yeah. As in, like, yeah, do more, like quantitative, more. I, I don't know, a bigger quantity of things, I guess.
Okay. Hmm. Um. Well, that's the simple idea. But I guess where I first thought of it was when we had Dimitri on the podcast, and I just had this thought. And I might have had the thought before that. It was so you've got the idea in economics of diversification, right?
Okay.
In economics, I'm not very well versed in economics. I might be messing this up, but the idea that you invest in many different things, so when one of those things
Makes
fails,
sense. Yeah.
everything doesn't, your everything doesn't fall down. It's like the saying of don't put all your eggs in one basket,
Okay, makes sense.
and applying that to basically your time commitment in the view of sometimes some of them don't give you as much satisfaction maybe, or sometimes they fail. Like it's something I'm thinking about working on right now. But suppose two things. You have two commitments, two categories of commitments. Let's just look at that right now, and say one of them is physical health, so working out, exercise and stuff, and like this is something you do regularly, and so you could say that's a time commitment. And then you have your intellectual pursuits as the other big category, but you can split those down if you want to. So when you're having a lot of hardship at a particular time with your intellectual pursuits, and you're facing some roadblocks, and you don't feel like you're making a lot of progress in that, you're still consistently making progress perhaps in your physical health, or your health pursuits, right? Your physical health pursuits, so exercise and stuff, or working out, whatever it is for you. So it's just kind of having that safety net sort of thing. And so
I'm getting the idea now. Yeah, that's nice. I
and
see
so I
what
guess
you mean. Yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
that's all right. So you could split that down into more different things. So within your intellectual 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 pursuits, you could be looking at two different things. Like you could have your whatever career, and then on the side researching something for yourself, right? But I guess where I'm coming from with this is that I used to believe that I need to focus on just one thing so I can master it, right? So I can be like
Yeah, I mean, makes sense,
the
sort of.
best, like one of the best people at it. Because I was like, I always have dreamed big, and I still dream big. Um, so there was a point where I got really into football.
Hmm.
So like that was the like I was that was yeah, that was school, but like football was pretty much the priority, or not the priority, but like from the get go, I believe. So this is a kind of a grandiose self image of myself, perhaps. Like this is it's a, but I whenever I aim for whatever the highest um kind of highest place in a particular field or particular uh field, not field, well, field, but what would you call football? How would you, well, sport, whatever,
Yeah, I guess like a
whatever,
sport.
and whatever it is I'm doing, like I'm aim for the highest, I aim for the moon, shoot for the stars and land on the moon or whatever. Um, and I felt that if you don't focus all your time, or if I don't focus all my time on this one thing, like 95% of my time or 90% of my time on this thing, or all my effort, 95% of my effort, say, because there's a lot of time in a day that I might not, not be working towards something like relaxing. But any effort that I put, I'll be putting it into this one thing. So that's what I thought. That's how I thought was the way to do it. But with time, I kind of realized that that was driving me kind of insane, right? Having this one thing and kind of not allowing myself to get distracted, and that was how I would view other pursuits that I would like to do at the time, as a distraction from this main goal. And so that was driving me kind of insane, I guess, at a certain point. So nowadays, I guess I do many different things, and I see a lot of value in that. But that was a point where I just completely like quit football. I played football all the time, and I was training really hard to
Hmm.
get better at it. And there was a point where I just kind of decided, right, with football, I'm not really going to get the necessary support behind me, I think, to pursue it as a realistic goal. Whereas if I pursue like have an intellectual pursuit, I would probably get more support behind that, and it'd be more realistic, as in from like family and stuff, because you need that kind of approval.
Yeah.
Uh, so I felt like, even because as parents will always say, well, won't always say, but I guess my parents would say that whatever you do, like we're support you in it, or a lot of parents say that, but who do they always feel like that? Because there is certain things, you have certain idea of what you want your child to be, and I guess I'm 20, I can't really speak for parents, but I guess you have that kind of idea of what you want your child to be, and then eventually you come to grips with, well, they're going to be whatever they want to be. But I just never felt like I would have the support if I wanted to pursue football. So while I was training very hard, I didn't, ever make it speak out to anybody and say, this is what I want to do, right? This is my dream. So I kind of balanced football with education, and then I picked education or intellectual pursuits over football because I didn't think I would get the sport. And then when I did that, that was like the only thing. So I would focus all my efforts on computing, and I would pretty much throw social life out the window. I never really had a lot of social life as well to begin with. Um, but coming into university was like a chance to get involved in that. I was like, no, like computing and like my studies will be like 90% of my efforts, right? And then coming to a point now where I have more varied pursuits. Um, so I feel like I'm more mellow now than I used to be, but I'm
Hmm.
also less susceptible to like mental breakdowns, I guess.
Hmm.
So if that's like what you're going for, probably is what you want to do.
Wow. So do you
Have a
think that by not diving like head first into football, you sort of saved yourself from some sort of a disappointment, I guess, or because as you said, you could choose education because you were doing it in parallel. Because I know people who just ditch education completely and they just go full on into sports. And then I've heard people having traumas and injuries. I don't know,
Mm,
maybe their health condition, uh, heart or whatever. It doesn't. Uh, I don't know. It just pretty much kills their sports career, and just because they chose it and they went all in.
hmm.
Although at the same time, they say best sportsmen are the ones who actually
Yeah.
go all in and lose everything else. But
Yeah, but that's the thing, because you're taking a big risk when you're doing that
yeah,
a lot of times. But for some people, that's like the best chance they have at getting out of whatever like poverty they're in. Like in poorer countries,
mm,
there's many great footballers out of poor countries, and it's like that's your best, pretty much the best opportunity to get out of that. And it's like you don't have anything to lose. It's probably what you do most days anyway for fun, play football, and then you decide this is it. I want to do this for a career. I think I watched the documentary on um, Ronaldo. I
mm,
can't remember. I can't remember which. Yeah, it was the not current Ronaldo, the previous.
Ronaldinho.
No, no, it was a Ronaldo um, before the Ronaldo that we know now. No, it's a Brazilian Ronaldo. This one's Portuguese, but he was
Was
like
he
a great footballer.
Ronaldinho? Wasn't it
No, there was
that guy?
Ronaldinho was another
Huh.
guy.
Well, I'm not much into football, so I couldn't
Yeah,
tell you at all. It's like I've heard some of the names, but
but yeah, like football like was a big deal for him, and like he's from Brazil, a poor country, um, and it was still a big decision to go and like make the this make a big decision to go and pursue it full time, like because
yeah,
we
for
can go into
sure.
detail, but he believed in himself, and I think I can't remember the details of it, but yeah, you're any situation that you're in, I think I'm going on such a rant, but any situation you're in, um, like when you go all in on something, you're taking a big risk.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true. I mean, at the same time, again, right, thinking about the situation that you were in and the situation that some of those guys are in, for example, in like very poor countries, it really feels like they don't have something to lose. Um, Although, yeah, at the same time, they could go a safer route and try to work, make money, help their
mhm.
parents and all that. But
Yeah, so I guess
then,
that was the thing with that
yeah, like
documentary I was watching.
I see, like have also, having the ability to actually have the plan B is also like I think a fortunate thing. Although some say, plan B is just a distraction from
Yeah,
plan A, and some say you shouldn't have it. But
yeah.
I think that's the
So
topic for today.
I think
Like,
that's also the case. Yeah, like there's no ways about it. That is also the case. Like your plan B is a distraction. Like if you're paying any time into your plan B, it is definitely a distraction. Um, if you're trying to be at the top or whatever. But like we've got, it's interesting because I don't know if this is a modern world thing where everybody's trying to be, you know, everybody has this kind of glorified idea of being on top of a certain field, or a romanticized idea, or
like being the top 1% or whatever.
yeah, because when we have these ideas, we're not really living in the moment, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it everywhere. We're seeing it on TV. We're seeing it in the media. And like, I always thought that, damn, I'm not really ever going to be, most likely, right? Never really going to be so good in a given field. Because there's always going to be some other guy who's going to be willing to put in more hours and more effort. And he's going to have more time. He's going to maybe have a more fortunate upbringing or something, right? Like more money, anything. It just feels
Mm.
like I'm never really going to be able to compete with the top of the top. But then do you really have to be on top, right?
Well, that's a question to ask yourself, but that's to yourself, is if you want to or not. Um, I guess,
Yeah.
but
For
you could.
example, thinking
Go
in
on.
economic terms, like thinking about salary and financials and everything. Um, I just used to hear Gary Vee saying this, like you don't necessarily have to be the businessman, the CEO, the um, entrepreneur, like have your own business, because everyone's now pushing this narrative like, oh, you have to have your own business, you have to be cool, you have to work for yourself and all. He says, well, there are the top, I don't know, 14th person in Facebook, for example. He's still earning way more than most of these business CEOs. So like, if you're okay going into some big company, being top 20th, top 40th, or whatever in that company, you're still gonna make way more than you would if you. Um, well, again, this is just, I guess, generalizing, and everyone's situation is different. But again, depends on what your aim is. Like, if you want to just make a good living, be well off financially, doesn't mean that you necessarily have to be, the top businessman and like try to compete with Jeff Bezos or something.
Right. Hmm.
Like, you don't have to go out and create a business just because some people just do it for some weird reasons. Like, oh, I'm a businessman now. I can post on Instagram and I can post that CEO title on my Twitter or something.
Yeah,
And
well, I don't think people who look at it that way actually ever fucking succeed. Let's be real.
yeah, they most likely don't. But that's the thing. This narrative is being pushed on us. Like, even I still think that, like, oh, that would be cool to have my own business. But then I really like consider it and like, wow, but I don't really have managerial skills. I don't have, like, maybe I should work towards it. Maybe that could be one of the commitments, to like learn all of that would be necessary to establish at least some sort of a little business. But still, I just had this idea like, oh man, feels like I have to make it because now everyone's like on this trend of making businesses and everything. I
You
don't know.
know, I, look, I think if you just work hard, right, at whatever field you're in, you can get experience working a job, working for somebody. You're probably best off going, working for somebody, getting experience in whatever field you want. Then coming out of that, I mean, even Gary Vee himself, I think he worked for his father or
Yeah,
something. He transformed the shop or whatever. He got more sales, or
yeah,
I
that was a
can't
story,
remember the
pretty much.
details. So, but he got experience that way. And then I don't really know what his business is, but he's obviously quite successful. So I think, like, in terms of business, like, as long, well, first figure out how you can yourself provide value to people, and then how can you get other people to work for you to also provide value to people. It's like, it's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, for business,
And
yeah, that's simple. That's not our topic today, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
um
Like, businesses are meant to bring value, and the more value you provide and you're able to sell it, then the more successful you're going to be. Um,
yep.
but again, just coming back to the topic, I looked at and I found this quote, and like, this quote I've been quoting so many times, and I think even on the podcast itself, because Albert Einstein is widely credited with the saying, which is, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results.
Mm,
So I thought this would fit nicely into
right.
what we're talking about, because, for example, diversifying something. Well, again, thinking about football, for example, I don't think I've had any. I mean, no, I had some sports pursuits, but I'd never really considered them to be my sole purpose in life. To just continue on the path of sportsman and
Hmm.
earn a living or whatever. But still, maybe there are some people who are really struggling, maybe having health issues or whatever, and really seeing that it's hard, but like they still keep going and then going because they really have a dream, they want to succeed. But then maybe again, because some people, and I know I had a friend who wanted to go to the States, and he was actually admitted to a college there, like with sports and stuff, but then his health condition was kind of, well, became worse, so then he had to drop all the sports and just stayed here. And then, it's like he couldn't continue pursuing, uh, as like it's kind of sad, right? But then again, like, sad how life throws this curveball. But on the other hand, like, if some people really see that it's not going too well, like, you don't have to go be down. There's so many other things that you could pursue. And I think
Mm,
the idea that you introduced today by actually having these different safety nets almost,
mm,
to fall back on, like, yeah, I see what you mean. For example, I can, I don't know if I can actually speak from my own experience properly, but like, um, now that we have this weird COVID situation, well, I'm pretty much losing my job, and most likely I'm not gonna have one, and in the coming year, because nightclub and the events industry and everything, right? Everything's
yeah.
closed. But because of my hobby, which I did like 7 years ago or so with photography, I'm
Mm-hmm.
probably actually going to have a little bit of a different job because it's, football needs live streaming
Mm-hmm.
of their football games. There's another thing which is like, you know, it's just like these little different things that you do here and there, and maybe you don't necessarily have to be a master of all of them.
Yeah.
You can just try all of them out and then see which one you like most, or which one is actually giving you the most benefit, and then you can go with it. And yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I think university is providing this to us, isn't it? Like, when thinking about our degree, especially in terms of having it quite broad, computer science, applied computing, we are being taught these different things, but when we're actually going to be going into the industry, there's no such job as like a computer science job, is there?
Uh,
Well, excluding academia, because you can go back in and teach the same stuff.
well, I guess no, there isn't a job of that title. I'm not sure. But,
Yeah, I mean, I would guess. Okay, like I might be wrong. I haven't checked, so I mean, take
mm-hmm.
it with a grain of salt. But I would imagine that you can choose stuff like software developer, servers systems admin or something,
Mm-hmm.
cybersecurity analyst, quality assurance. Like there's so many different things, but everything is actually way more like it's completely different from each other. And I
Mm-hmm.
had this thought today, like, what am I gonna do? Because like when we're graduating, we're gonna have to choose, and I would imagine that most people are gonna choose different things. I mean, unless everyone just goes straight for software development or something. But I was thinking, like, we do have our individual skills. Like, one person knows one language, the other person knows the other language. So maybe the way we're gonna end up in our jobs is that the employers are going to be advertising that they need this specific language, for example. So again, like, I think diversifying the knowledge that we're gaining somehow might be beneficial,
Mm-hmm.
especially when starting off, because I have seen job, uh, what are these things called? Job postings or whatever, right? Um,
Yep.
Asking for a person with minimum of 25 years of experience, or preferably like 35. And I just
Yeah.
looked at it and thought, like, are you serious? But then, yeah, it makes sense because there's a lot of people with that many years of experience in like marketing or management, blah blah, right? Like, but when we're starting off, we don't know where we want to go. So I would imagine it would be a good time right now to try and diversify everything that we're learning. Like,
I
learn
want to
some,
say
yeah.
go and diversify everything. Be conservative with it, especially
No, for
coming from
sure.
somebody who would focus on one thing. Like I've done that with a lot of things, and I think wherever you're coming from, whichever side you're coming from, if you're currently doing a lot of things right now, but you're not really putting it. putting 100% into any one of those things. You probably need to cut down. If you're coming from a place where you're pursuing this one thing, and you see after a few years that it's actually you're not working for you, then you maybe need to start thinking about diversifying. But whichever side you're coming from, there is going to be, some kind of, not limit, because limit has the wrong connotations in the English language. Is from what I'm learning in mathematics right now, I wanted to say limit, but there is going to be something a place you're tending towards that's going to be quite optimal for a while. Um, it's like, hmm, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you can't just lean in any direction, just like going to the extreme, obviously.
Hmm.
But but the thing is, so I have this little article pulled up again. I just looked it up earlier. There's a heading of one of the paragraphs just quoting until something comes easily. And the article itself is about how experts figure out what to focus on, because it's more like eventually, most likely, you're gonna discover what you want your one true thing to be,
Mm.
but that might take time. Again, just as
Hmm.
I'm saying, 30 years of experience in one field, as opposed to us, which are sort of due to graduate university right now with like a broad degree. Um,
I think 30 years is kind of ridiculous in the field of. I guess it depends on the field. That
yeah,
depends on the specific job.
I mean, yeah, it depends on the field, but the thing is, I
And
was
on most jobs in technology, 30 years of experience in anything would be kind of, unless you're going for a managerial position, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
A
I mean,
tech lead.
yeah, but technology, it makes sense. Technology is always changing, so it's not about the experience; it's about like how adaptable you are, I guess, and
Well,
everything. But
I,
still,
that's something got to do with experience as well. If you've been through many technologies,
oh, for sure.
and yeah, that would be like a managerial position, a high, tech lead, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we're probably eventually gonna discover what we want to settle on, but yeah, I think diversifying things. That's yeah.
Well, it's like, uh, my website gigs right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how many times have I said I don't want to do websites,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And like my roommate hits me up and he's like, well, hits me up. We're talking and he's like, so are you thinking of making this website thing? And like, because I had one website that I was working on with him. He was like, are you thinking of making this an actual thing? And I was like, I think that sounds like he wants to partner in this, like work on this together. And like before that, I would have said, but like I wouldn't have gone and done this on my own, because I think, you know like I like to do the technical stuff, but I'm not very much a people's person, so I didn't think, I would be able to attract customers very well. But I felt like with my roommate, um, like he's more of a people's person. He speaks to more people, um,
Mm-hmm.
and he's more of a people's person, and he said he would also do like the Facebook marketing and stuff. And also, what am I getting at? Well, I'm working on a few websites. Well, it just happened. Maintaining a website for my mom, and now I've worked on a website I made for somebody with my partner in this. Um, and I'm maintaining that kind of now as well. So it just happened that I got these jobs, like my first job in WordPress, and then I felt, well, WordPress is pretty decent. Like if I ever, like, I wasn't sure that websites are what I want to do, so I'll use WordPress. So if anybody needs to maintain this after me, it's easy. And so I just happened to get a lot of WordPress experience, and now it's like, it's like it's become a thing, right?
Yeah,
So, and that's kind of shaped me to what I'm doing right now. And I'm not placing all. Um, so as you said, like you discover what you want to do, right?
yeah,
And I don't necessarily still want to do websites for the rest of my life. but it's more of a business thing, right? Because there's a, freelancing, if you're good at it, if you know what you're doing, and if you're in the right place at the right time, you've got a chance of a successful business. So, I'm just giving this a shot right now, seeing where it goes, taking it slow. But like my main focus, you could say that's a plan B. My main focus is still like my studies and intellectual pursuits and academia. So, and that I kind of decided the AI thing. I've kind of decided on, you could say, discovered in a way that that was something I wanted to do after long, you know, deliberations and pondering. So those are two things I just kind of came up on and decided that's it.
Yeah.
But something I completely thought, yeah, I don't want to do this. Now I've kind of been doing it for a little bit, and it's actually okay. It's actually, the challenges that I come up against. I thought, with web design stuff, or not web design, but web development stuff, there wouldn't be enough challenges. But actually, there are quite a few challenges that are quite interesting when doing
Mm.
them.
Well, again,
Yeah.
I think thinking back to the quote that I just saw, and well, as long as it comes easy, right? Like easily, it doesn't necessarily. I mean, again, challenges, um, or maybe as long as it also fulfills you, right? Um, should probably just do that. And there's another three little steps or rules by this guy Alexander Grace. I was watching one of his little video essays, whatever. It was just pretty much summing up the thing where what's the point, and if you lose, for example, motivation and everything, he just says you should work smart, not hard. You should
Well,
focus on what you can control, and you should also treat yourself. So again, I was thinking about the diversification, which I mean does make sense. That is working smart, not just going full on into something if you're still not sure. And the other, well, the second rule of his about focusing on what you can control is again, I think, a smart thing because, for example, with the health example in the sports, like, well, there's just some things you can't control, and like as sad
mhm.
as it may be, well, sometimes you got to deal with it, right? There's other
Well, at
beautiful things that come out of it, but still.
at the end of that, you'll just probably still find something to do. Like there's lots of unskilled labor to be done, so
Oh, not
you'll be fine.
necessarily. I mean, even then, you might take a course or you may find something that you're just passionate about and then you learn
Well,
on the job. Like, there's many different paths. So, like, nothing's lost when you're just failed in a field or a career. Like, even if I go into computer science and I realize that I suck at it, right? Like, I could just drop out and, like, spend a few years doing manual labor and then trying to maybe learn something else on the side, or maybe just keep doing that because there's no shame in doing that all the
yeah,
time because that we need that. We need
yeah. As
actual
long
highly
as
skilled workers. So
yeah.
yeah, I think we're drawing to a close. Do you have any call to actions? Any like what maybe I could do, even I or anyone else? Maybe do you
Uh,
want to promise something to yourself? How you're
I don't
gonna?
know. See, the promise thing is one of the things that the accountability that we've been trying to do on the podcast has really not worked for me personally.
Okay.
Uh, I found I don't know why it hasn't worked. Well, I have some clues as to why it hasn't worked, so I'm not trying to do that. Uh, I would say about the diversification thing, it's just one way of doing things. There is no studies. Well, I don't. Maybe there are studies behind what I'm saying. Like this isn't the one truth, right? So, like, I mean, I think we've discussed it. So you could put all your eggs in one basket and take the risk, or you can diversify. Um, but yeah, just take everything we say with a grain of salt, and don't think we're giving you a manual for life.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Because
wish I wish someone
I've
gave that to me. Lol. It would be
Because
so
like
easy.
I just went on an absolute, like, I'm all over the place today. I just went on an absolute rant. It's ridiculous, but
It happens sometimes, although I'm very grateful that we had this conversation. It was chill, it was nice to connect back with you. Um, hell yeah.
yeah, me
But
as well.
diversify. Yeah, I think I'll be going away with a little message, something that I'll for sure think about as to like how, I mean, even certifications later in life, you can just get certifications for different things in computer science. I mean, we're thinking about our own garden, I guess, or what is the phrase? Like, we are speaking from our computer science experience, but this
Mm,
I would imagine this could be useful in any other field. So I'm
perhaps, yeah.
just saying that maybe with computer science, I'll just see. Uh, and I think I even had a conversation with my mom today about like, yo, you should look into job postings. And then I was like, that makes sense because even in a year, if I graduate, they're not going to really change much, right? So just to scout the field, just to see what they require, because again, we still have this luxury of maybe being able to do more than just one thing. And yeah, I think that's great. Had a very nice, pleasant conversation with you today.
It was good,
Um,
yes.
thank you for that. And I guess looking forward to
Thank you too.
next week.
Yep.
See you, everybody.
See ya.